Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of our resume website tutorial series on Turbo 360. In part 2, we organized our template a little bit. We carved up the home page into their respective partial sections, and then we redeployed just to make sure everything still works on the staging environment. I'm going to run the project on localhost. So here I am in the root directory, and make sure everything still looks good on localhost. So the server is now running. Let's head over to localhost 3000 and make sure the project still looks the same. And here we are. Great. Oh, also, you may recall at the end of the last video, these icons were not properly lined up. That's only because my machine wasn't properly importing the CSS. It shouldn't have been happening on your end. So it was just a minor glitch. Everything is properly working now. So let's go ahead and continue. So let's go ahead and start setting up this content to be specific to your actual resume and or portfolio. So here we have Alan Michaels. I am a UI UX designer. So if we head over to our index.mustache file, we can see that this is where that is happening. Also, that double angle here, that assisted scroll, I'm going to get rid of that. I was never a fan of any of those assisted scroll things, so let's just get rid of that. Obviously, you can keep it if you want to. It's up to you. So here we are, and let's take that out. So Alan Michael, let's replace that with Dan Kwan. And that's how that works. And obviously you can enter your name, and that's how that is going to be rendered. Now, that's pretty simple, and you can go through the entire content of the site and reconfigure it to make it specific for your own profile, obviously. But one of the things that the Turbo template provides you, so you may recall at the beginning of video 1, we created the project using the Turbo template command, Turbo template resume. And what that provides you is a series of JSON files that you can use if you want to make adjusting this content very easy. It's just a matter of updating JSON files. And that makes it a lot easier in my experience, rather than going through all these lines of HTML over and over and over again to make changes. So obviously we have to do that on the first pass to make sure everything is properly connected. But then as you update your site and make changes down the road, let's say you add a new blog post, or you want to change your bio, or you want to add some more skills, things of that sort, you don't want to comb through tons of HTML over and over again. It's a lot easier just to update some JSON files. So that's what we're going to set that up instead, so that you can see how it works. So if you look at the pages directory, you'll see that we have two JSON files, a home and a global. So these JSON files are named after the pages that they update, and global means it updates the entire website. So if you open up the home.json, you'll see it's just a JSON object with really just a key value pair, and that's it. So let's say I decide instead to well, we're never going to use just key value, right? So let's go ahead and do profile and make that a JSON object. And let's do first name. Let's go with Bruce, and then last name Wayne. Okay, so we have a JSON object inside the home JSON with first name Bruce, last name Wayne. So pretty simple. And then if you look at the routes, you'll see that we have an index route. It's the only route we have with some pre-populated content, and the home route right here is doing a lot of logic, a lot more than you would expect from just an initial scaffold. And we don't have to use any of this. So for example, if we comment this entire thing out, so I just commented the entire thing out, and I do res.render, and I do index, which is the index mustache template, and then null for the data, nothing should change really. It should look the same. So I'm going to reload the server just to make sure everything is restarted. And this shouldn't change. It's going to be the same because this is all static content. So that begs the question: what's going on with all this stuff that came pre-populated? So let's dig into that. So what's going on here is that we're taking a data object and we're going to pass it into the template, and the templating engine can then render any of that data. Over here, we're grabbing the home config from this right here, and then we're going to add that to the data key as the page key, the data object as the page key. And then we're grabbing the current app, which is our staging environment app on Turbo, and applying that to the data key as well. And then we're passing in the data key to the index render. Technically, we don't need that format key for now, so I'm just going to comment this out to make it a little bit simpler. And that's it. All we're doing is passing the data key to the index.mustache with some configuration for the page and the actual site itself. So what we want to do now is use the data inside the actual template itself. If you recall, if you take a look here, the home config, which is just this home JSON, is binded to the data key, data object under the page key. So what that means is, if we open this up and then open up the index.mustache, instead of hard coding Dan Kwan, we can take the page key, and then inside there is the profile key, and then inside there we have first name, last name. So first name, and then we can do the same thing for the last name. And then we can run the dev server, and now this time we should see a different name. We should see Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne. And we can carry that throughout for pretty much all the content of the homepage. So let's say we want to get this out of here. I am a freelancer. I am a UI UX designer. So what do we have here? I am a Arlo text. Not really sure where this data is coming from. Let's see if we can find it somewhere else. Okay, so for now we are going to just ignore the animation for now. So page.profile. Let's see here. It's not really a bio, it's just a caption. Let's go with that. So now we need a caption key inside the profile. So caption, I am Batman. Okay, and let's reload the server. And here we go. And there it says, I am Batman. I'll worry about that text animation later. I didn't look into that yet, but I'm sure it's a simple adjustment. And let's go ahead and get this icon figured out too. So let's go here inside the profile and let's do image avatar. Let's go with that. And then now we need to upload an image and have that be the avatar. So let's go ahead and find an image first. So images, Batman. Let's find a square image. So click on Tools, And let's go exactly 500 by 500 based on the theme recommendation right here. Surprisingly hard to find a good image of Batman. Here we go. This looks pretty good. Okay, so copy the image address, and then let's download that onto our desktop or workspace, whatever. And then let's rename that into Batman. And now head over to your Turbo project for this site and click on the storage button and upload file. And let's upload that Batman icon to the storage for Turbo. And now we have our own version of the Turbo of the Batman image. By the way, this is pretty customizable. So if you go to the end of the URL and type in the following equals S200, it'll give you a scaled down version of 200 pixels by 200 pixels. If I do S64, it'll keep on going, 64. So this is good for like thumbnails and things like that. We're going to use the 500 version, which is actually the natural size, but let's go ahead and just use it anyway. No, let's go ahead and just use a regular natural version. Okay, and then now that we have our image, we can go back here and just paste it into the image avatar key for the profile. So here is where we would make that adjustment. So let's see here, page profile img avatar. Let's go ahead and run the dev server and give that a shot. Very nice. So let's carry this all the way through. So we have a background image here, which according to the theme should be 1920 by 1080. Let's see here. So if we inspect the code, right, that's this BG wrap right here, it looks like. So this BG wrap right here this div right here is apparently what's controlling that background image, it appears. So let me just make sure I properly see that. Right, okay, so here, this overlay image hero JRelax, if we do background red, let's see, that didn't do anything, so let's see. Oh, this is it right here, excuse me, I'm on the wrong section. So overlay image hero, so right here, overlay color hero. So this div right here is the one that controls that right there. So let's find that in the code. Right here, overlay color hero. So if we do style background red, or let's try green. Okay, great. So why am I doing this? Why am I going through the trouble? I want to make sure that I am properly manipulating the correct div so that I can control the background image. Now the background image itself should be, I think, 1920. 1920 by 1080. So let's find an image that corresponds to those dimensions. So I'm going to use Unsplash for this, and let's find a city, and let's go with this. And just in case that's not a good image for the theme, let's try this one as well. So let's try this one. Okay, show in Finder. Yeah, these are quite large. I think there's a way you can change the dimensions. Let's go with 1920. Okay, so here we have a 1920 version of the image. I'm just going to put that on my desktop like so. You know what, that's not properly doing that, so I'm going to cheat. I'm just going to take a screenshot. So I just did a full screen. I'm doing a screenshot. This isn't really the most important part of the tutorial, so I don't want to lose too much time on this. So let's go with this instead, and city, and I believe that's going to be 1920. 1366. All right, let's try our luck with that. So let's go back to our project on Turbo and upload that image. Like I said, this isn't the most important part of the tutorial, so let's just get something up and running. And then let's try S1920. Maybe that'll do it. Yeah, that looks good. And then let's copy that into the home JSON. So this is not really part of the profile. So we're going to call this img underscore background. And let's call it background hero for the hero section. And let's go ahead to our index, back to our index mustache. And instead of background green here, now we want to do background hyphen image. That's going to be a URL, and that's going to be page img background hero. And I don't think we need those quotation marks, actually. I think we can get rid of those. Just like that. Let's see how that looks. There we go. So I kind of went in a roundabout way. I probably could have done that a little bit more quickly, but I was freestyling as I went through that. But that's how the process works for adding content, customized content to this template using these JSON files rather than digging through this code. So at first, it's a little bit, it's not really saving time at first, but it saves a lot of time down the road when you want to make changes and you don't want to have to constantly dig through this HTML and whatnot. So, you know, maybe we want Christian, we want to just change the name to Christian Bale, right? And then we can just change the JSON files and then reload the site, and then we should see the updated version. So that's how that works. Let's go ahead and make sure that it works on the staging environment as well. So a couple things here. First thing we got to do is deploy these JSON files individually. So we have two JSON configuration files, but we only manipulated one, the home JSON. So the way you do that in this environment is it's simple. We just do turbo page and then the name of the file minus the JSON extension. So here we are deploying this config file to our project. So now our home config file has been deployed to our project on the staging environment, and then we do turbo deploy like that. So the main thing to understand here is that when you deploy the project itself, these config files, they don't go with it. They have to be individually deployed. There's a reason for that, which I don't really want to get into right now. But the important thing to understand is that you have to remember to deploy the config files individually whenever you make changes. And it's a simple command, just turbo page home or turbo page global or whatever page you want to manipulate. You can add as many pages as you want. You can extend this concept to all the pages on the site, which we will do throughout the rest of this tutorial. So now that the deployment is done, we can just double check that everything worked. So we just copy the staging link, head over to the browser, and let's see what we get on staging. Very nice. So keep in mind, this is the staging environment. This is on live. So we have successfully configured this site to render properly on staging as it does on local. So that looks good. So this is what I was saying earlier in the video. Something was funky with the CSS import at first, but it works fine now. So this looks appropriate. And bearing in mind, like I said, that these config files are deployed separately, what that means is we can make a change like this. We can change it back to Bruce Wayne, and we can just do turbo page home, and that will change the config file. So once we see that confirmation, that should change this pretty quickly, like that. And that's a much easier way to make changes, in my opinion at least, than going through hundreds and sometimes thousands of lines of HTML to make small tweaks here and there. After doing that for many years, I just got really fed up with it, and I built this system to make that process a little easier. So you pay a little bit upfront by making these configurations, but once the site is deployed and running for a good amount of time, making changes is as simple as what I just showed you. So Bruce Wayne naturally does not want to reveal his identity, so I am not Batman. Let's go with that. And we just do turbo page home, and that will redeploy the home page configuration, and that's it. And that'll take care of that. So hopefully that makes sense. There are a few new concepts here that we've covered that are unique to the turbo template structure, but this is still a Node Express project. So bear in mind, we're simply leveraging the tools of Node Express, particularly the Mustache templating engine, and we're using that to make these updates and these configurations faster and more easy, I guess, more efficient. So hopefully you got that working. In the following sections, we will continue that process. So we're going to continue changing stuff over here, using the page config files as much as we can, and that should be it. So hopefully you got all that working. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in part 4.